Jon Jones is the most recognizable character in Fortnite, but did you know Epic Games dropped a bombshell about his family, secret past, and the answer to a mystery that is 4 years in the making? This new information reveals a ton about Season 4, and I don't know how the island will survive the live event, but these mysteries all tie together, so watch until the end for a huge surprise. Fortnite just revealed an insane plot twist that Jon Jones not only has a family, but they were actually given immortality. This is what happens when you work for the Imagined Order. They have the power to grant you eternal life, and hundreds of years ago, Jones took this offer in a heartbeat, but soon would regret it. As he worked his way through the ranks of the IO, Jones became more valuable to the organization, but there was one huge problem: his family. They were from a very dangerous reality, and if you want immortality, you have to live on the Fortnite island. Jones constantly was kidnapping people and sending them to the loop, but his wife wanted no part in it, and this is where the mystery gets crazy. His entire family left, and while the Imagined Order promised to protect them on their dangerous homeworld, they wouldn't be immortal. As they grew old, Jones realized he didn't want to do this anymore. He wanted to die of old age with his grandchildren. Well, Dr. Sloan broke the bad news that if Jones leaves, the IO won't protect the rest of his family. Quitting means his descendants will die. This turning point for Jones made him stay with the Imagined Order, doing their dirty work and trying to move on from his past life. Everyone he loved was gone, and he was just staying to protect family members that he barely even knew. This is where it all ties together. Jones may have deserted the Imagined Order, but this helped us learn that one of the 7 was actually a traitor. After months of rumors, it's been confirmed that the Paradigm did work with the IO in Chapter 1, but the reason completely took me by surprise. Last season, we learned how the Devourer got to the Fortnite island. The gigantic iceberg was actually part of a planet known as the Ice Moon. You might remember it from last season's live event. This fragment of the moon actually included Polar Peak, a castle belonging to the Ice King, and inside of its dungeon was a monster who broke out of the ice. The Devourer wanted the 0 point, and this is where it gets interesting. To fight the monster, the Imagined Order worked with the Paradigm to build a giant mech and save the island. We've theorized about this for a while, but the Paradigm exposed the truth. The Imagined Order were actually fine with the monster killing every resident on the island. They didn't care, but they were worried that it would attack the 0 point, and that's where the Paradigm stepped in. While GENO and Sloan wanted to build a Doomsday machine to defeat the monster, she offered to pilot a giant robot instead. We all know how the event played out, but after killing the monster, she flew into space, never to be seen again until now. The robot went to that ice moon, which is where it was found during the collision event, but the mystery of how they got here is incredible. The scientists made contact with the Paradigm at the start of the season and began communicating with her from the ground, but he secretly told the Foundation that she was dead and was talking to AI instead. The 7 were extremely angry at the Paradigm for working with the IO, and if they knew she was alive, they wouldn't bother saving her. So, if you're wondering why Doctor Strange appears out of nowhere at the start of the war, it's because the 7 enlisted the help of Marvel characters in order to defeat the Imagined Order. Thanks to Thor and Storm, they were able to change the weather on the Ice Moon and help the 7 rescue the robot. And of course, when they got there, the Paradigm is alive and waiting for them. This all builds up to the final battle against the Imagined Order. After centuries of conflict, Dr. Sloan finally meets her match, and the entire operation is taken down. But there's one piece of the puzzle left: GENO, Fortnite's secret villain that has been pulling the strings since day 1. And this week, I found everything there is to know about GENO, and what we learned will blow your mind. This is what helped us figure out what to expect in Season 4, so it is incredibly important you pay attention here. For those who are unfamiliar with GENO, he's the founder and leader of the Imagined Order. He created it along with 5 other mysterious leaders, and each of them have their own symbol in the IO's logo. This one is worn by Dr. Sloan and her IO guards, making her one of the 6. You might be wondering why we haven't seen any of the characters, but we have managed to find 2 more. One of these symbols belongs to an unnamed man that was spotted in Chapter 2. And originally, the community thought this is GENO, but since his official reveal during the collision event, we have been left stumped. However, in the latest comic issue, the Imagine reveals that GENO has an inner circle, aka the 6 leaders, and the mysterious man from the photo must be one of them. And while Season 6 SPIRE was incredibly confusing, it contained this symbol, which is one of the runes in the IO's logo. The guardians of these towers are led by the SPIRE Assassin and SPIRE Immortal. Are they part of the inner circle too, or do they answer to someone even more sinister? For months we have assumed that the Imagine and the Order are the daughters of GENO. It was a pretty obvious guess based on their names, but Epic has finally confirmed it. The sisters revealed that they were genetically improved by GENO before being born. He gave them immortality, super strength, and designed his daughters to be practically perfect. GENO let them use reality as their playground, letting them do whatever they wanted, but one day things changed in an instant. One of the members of GENO's inner circle offered him a bet. They wanted to see if the sisters could be the first people to ever escape the loop, and even gambled how long it would take. After being sent in, the sisters actually escaped, but it took way longer than the GENO had hoped, and this is the part that explains everything. In the modern day, we know that escaping the loop will leave behind a snapshot of yourself, and this is why Agent Jones has so many Jonesies running around. But with the sisters being some of the first people ever to escape, they were met with a huge shock returning home. The loop created snapshots of them, but they were better. These clones were used to fighting in the loop and became stronger because of it, so GENO replaced his daughters with the new and improved versions. So they left and joined the Seven, taking on the names the Imagine and the Order. They chose these names to take back control of their identities, and while the sisters might be twins, they have very different motives. The Order wants to help people in the loop get back their freedom, but the Imagine just wants to get revenge on her father. She admitted all of this while talking to Wolverine, and then it kinda ends with this, so I guess we'll move on from here. You might be wondering what the point of all this is. What does the Imagine Order actually want? Time and time again, they've allowed the Zero Point to destabilize, attempted to destroy the island with Doomsday devices, and even sat back and let a cube army take over the island. But why? Well, it's been confirmed that GENO originally created the Imagine Order to find the perfect civilization, which is the end goal of the entire storyline. He has spent centuries kidnapping people from the realities and forcing them to fight in this loop. The point of this is to recruit the greatest warriors and leaders to the Imagine Order, giving them immortality and allowing them to live on the island. Let's take, for example, Midas. We've all grown tired of this man by now. He is probably Fortnite's biggest mystery, but guys, I solved it. After reading the latest issue, Midas's entire story has been unraveled, including his connection to Oro. I put a lot of work into this, so subscribe if you're enjoying it. Here's how Midas became Fortnite's most underrated character and how he might make an appearance in Season 4. We've all heard the legend of King Midas, but Fortnite did it differently. Our version of Midas is an international crime boss who came to the island in Season 2 and flipped the storyline on its head. But did you know that his grand plan was years in the making? Before this, Midas had found himself in the Imagine Order's academy. In this early photo of Dr. Sloan, you could spot him in the audience, and this was the beginning of his scheme. Midas sends his daughter Jules into the Imagine Order, where she becomes a master engineer, working her way up to the IO's Doomsday division. This is where she begins creating machines that can destroy entire realities, but the whole time, Jules is secretly using this information to plan out the device, a machine that will destroy the loop for good. Meanwhile, Midas sets up the agency. Dozens of loopers become secret agents, reporting everything back to Midas. Eventually, the device is complete, but we all know how that played out. In retaliation, the Imagine Order traps Jules in the loop, replacing her with a more obedient snapshot. Jules, Meowscles, and Marigold have spent the past few years attempting to escape the loop and hiding Midas's location. While the IO may think he's dead, the gang are preparing a plan. We have yet to find out what that is, but any day now it'll unfold. As for his connections to Oro, it's actually really simple. For years we've been trying to explain how Oro and Midas are the same person, or ways that they could be related. But Fortnite has also explained the curse of the Golden Touch to us over and over again. We just weren't listening. King Oro, along with Aurelia, are from a reality where they're cursed with the Golden Touch. Somehow, Midas found Oro's skeleton and was given this curse. His eye was cut like everyone else with the Golden Touch, and that is the connection between the two. Midas was simply a crime boss who got too greedy and went after Oro's treasure, only to be cursed for it. Now guess what? Gold isn't the only elemental power important to Fortnite. An Easter egg from over 4 years ago explains the future of the storyline and gives us an understanding of what to expect from Season 4 and even the seasons after that. Pay attention to this one. It could reveal the secret behind Fortnite's next villain, and shout out to TDSX for inspiring us to look back at this. In Chapter 1, the Ice King arrived on the map along with a fragment of his planet, but this wasn't the only thing he brought. We all know how the volcano struck Polar Peak, allowing the monster inside to escape. But 2 seasons prior, the original prisoner of this castle was this man. He's one of the most important storyline characters out there, even though nobody talks about him. The prisoner was trapped in Polar Peak, covered in blocks of ice, but when the fragment crashed into the Fortnite island, he was able to escape. So he broke out of his chains, beginning a path that would eventually lead to the entire map changing. With all of his chains gone, he's revealed to be the Fire King, and after the Ice King had taken over the island, the damage had to be undone. The prisoner created a volcano that served as his new base and then stole hybrid eggs from Polar Peak. These hatched and became his bodyguards. But sadly, once the volcano erupted, he vanished, and our attention was turned back to Polar Peak, where this table finally makes sense. According to the concept artist, this is where the Ice King would have his meetings about the prisoner in his basement. We've covered this before, how each symbol on the table represents an element. We have the Ice King, the Fire King, and 3 other elements, which is where Season 4 comes into play. If you go to the Sanctuary right now, you can find paintings on the wall that also shows these elements. You can see fire and water, but there are a ton of other mysterious symbols. Most notably, you can spot a nature element. And this leads me to believe that the upcoming Season 4 villain is related to this. It literally looks like a flower, and they've already proven that they can spread nature all over the map. The Ice King did the exact same thing. This new story creates a big question. Is Reality Zero full of elemental planets? Is Oro a part of this group? When are we gonna see more of them, and if so, does the Bloom Watcher represent the nature element? That brings us to Season 4 and the mystery surrounding its theme. We have been partying and vibing for way too long, and it's been hard to figure out what's next, but all of the mysteries that we've answered in this video reveals more than you would expect. Fortnite expands its multiverse with every single season, and now the world itself is being expanded. We have more planets and characters in the story than ever, and it is slowly developing into one big battle. The 7 vs the IO is over, and it's time to make way for the next era of the story. So where does that go? Whether it's a battle of the elementals or another crossover season, something big is around the corner. The new villain is just a taste of what to expect. We have tons of Marvel characters who appear in the Zero War comics and will be making their way to the Fortnite Island next season. Dr. Doom is officially working with GENO to steal the 0-point shard, and we've already seen the effect that Thor and other characters have had on the story so far. It is no surprise that the future of the Fortnite story is with these crossovers, and considering Chapter 2 Season 4 was a Marvel season, Chapter 3 is more than likely to contain something similar. The MCU is heading into the multiverse saga, and it looks like Fortnite may just be as well. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.